This video is about video games, but it's also about me, about how I've been feeling stressed. Stressed about my relationships, stressed about YouTube, about life, university, the future. Deep down, I know everything will be fine, that I'm fine, but how can you be so sure? You know, when things get like this, I feel the urge to escape from it all. And I try. Whether that be by taking long walks through the city of London, observing as people carry on with their lives, talking to God, working out, writing, reading, riding my bike. But that urge to be still, to be in an environment enveloped in complete silence, is ever present. Silence is not something I'm used to hearing. It's weird saying that because how do you hear silence? I was born, raised, and have lived in London my entire life. 23 years and counting, spent in a city full of noise. For the past 13 years, I've lived underneath a flight path. So even when the world is supposed to be asleep, planes still fly overhead. There's no escape. This is why I love silence, the beautiful sound of nothing, and is also why I feel so comforted playing games that have moments of tranquility, games that have managed to turn nothing into something so powerful. Back in July of 2019, I made a video about The Long Dark, reflecting on how captivating and peaceful the game was. The Long Dark is a survival game, a unique genre of video game that offers a different type of experience compared to others. These games tend to focus on immersion and isolation, where players are tasked with surviving in harsh, unforgiving environments. Whether that be by crafting and building shelters, gathering resources, avoiding dangerous creatures, or battling other players. In our modern day world, we are surrounded by constant noise and distractions. We are bombarded with information, notifications, and conversations from the moment we wake up. Many of us rarely take the time to be still and quiet. But you see, in these open-ended, isometric, survival horror, island hopping, space exploring worlds, there is nothing to disturb the beauty of life. No passing cars, no distant chattering. The clamoring noises of the living are nowhere to be heard. Sure, there may be zombies. Perhaps a few creepers. But suppose you found somewhere away from all that chaos, somewhere without any turmoil or commotion. It's hard to name a survival game I haven't found visually stunning, with their lush landscapes and haunting beauty. There's a sense of awe and wonder as you explore and navigate these worlds, with the only sounds coming from the environment and the player's own actions. a unique and immersive experience that can be both beautiful and silent. The art of silence is about creating space for stillness, reflection, and mindfulness. And survival games are typically set in free, open environments. A direct contrast to the claustrophobic city streets of London. An environment that makes me feel trapped, surrounded by towering buildings and overcrowded streets. Its oppressive atmosphere, overwhelming presence, the sheer number of people, the noise, and the constant hustle and bustle of everyday life. It can be easy to feel overwhelmed, difficult to find a moment of silence. So it's no surprise that I love these games, playing them when life just gets a little too loud. Retreating into the peaceful and calming worlds of video games, allowing me to discover new areas without restrictions, without watchful eyes, and without noise. All that to say that the perfect games to play if you're looking to get lost, if you're looking to escape, if you're looking to create a new life outside of your own. It's kinda weird because I often feel envious of the character beyond the screen. I imagine myself living in these worlds, living a life where I can wake up and breathe. No stress, no anxiety, no sadness, just silence. The Bible talks about silence a lot. The act of being still and letting go. Something that's becoming increasingly hard to do in this modern world. It's no surprise that many of us struggle to find happiness when our hearts and minds are so full of noise. A noise so loud that we can't even hear the call of life, the call of purpose. A call that in order to hear requires silence. A call that strangely I've heard in a few of the open world games I've played over the years. Outer Wilds, Death Stranding, Breath of the Wild to name a few. Games so silent there's nothing to distract you from your goal, whether it be the domineering presence of the sun, Sam's precious cargo, or Ganon's castle. In these games, it's impossible to lose sight of what's important, of what's needed of you. It's quite powerful really, how special a game can become by simply removing the loudest part of everyday life. Death Stranding delivered an experience like no other, blurring the lines between video game and simulation. You play as Sam Porter Bridges, a man who travels across post-apocalyptic America to connect remote, stranded cities. It's an isolating experience and an emotional one, caked with a very heavy atmosphere. It's not just a walking sim. It's a unique game that focuses on the concept of solitude, what it means to be alone. The main protagonist doesn't even like to be touched.
What the hell? Didn't mean to grab you so hard. Tears. A chiral allergy. So, you have dooms, like me.
Death Stranding encourages players to explore their own emotions and feelings of loneliness, while also having to deal with the loneliness of others. emphasizing the importance of staying connected even when you feel alone in the world. In London, I feel alone because so many people surround me. It's hard to connect. Despite the crowds of people, it can be challenging to form meaningful connections and build a sense of community. In Death Stranding, I felt alone because I was surrounded by nothing but silence. However, this silence served not only as an escape, but as a crucial reminder of life's fragility, power, and beauty. Highlighting how important it is to appreciate every moment we have while we are alive, making every individual I met during my travels special to me. Breath of the Wild also used its lack of sound in a very similar way, amplifying its bleak, somewhat depressing setting. Link, having awakened from a long sleep, finds that Hyrule has been destroyed. There's nothing left, nothing but ruins. Just like Sam, Link is alone, with no one to turn to. As the player, you'll encounter creatures and other characters who are just as lonely as Link. This tone, the overall lack of people, the lack of sound, the lack of anything really, it creates a certain magic I can't quite explain or describe. I just know it helps to rub in that isolated feeling. A feeling that allows you to stop and appreciate these worlds and their silence. You kinda wish you could stop and appreciate this world and its silence. To find a sense of peace within yourself. A peace that I find I'm struggling to obtain in my day-to-day. Though there is one game that managed to give me that sense of peace. A game that transcended the medium itself, captivating the hearts and minds of many gamers. I thrive off of this art form. I play games to escape, to be entertained, and to journey off into worlds that are not my own. However, very rarely will there be a time where I'll encounter a video game that allows me to do more than escape, to not only be entertained, but wholly invested in a world and story that is presented to me. To go on a journey that not only allows me to reflect on what I have learned, but lets me imagine and question what may be ahead of me. A video game that allows me to feel annoyed and frustrated, joyous and euphoric, discouraged and concerned, all while having faith and optimism I'll find the answers needed to continue my quest for meaning and purpose. I heard the call of life while playing Outer Wilds. I had a reason to climb into that spaceship, a reason to explore, a reason to fight past my failures. Outer Wilds' masterful use of silence adds to its beauty, creating a meditative ambience. Its lack of sound allows players to focus on what's around them, making them feel like they are part of the world rather than just playing in it, creating a sense of mystery as players must pay attention to their surroundings to progress in the game. Outer Wilds made its silence meaningful, and silence made Outer Wilds meaningful. Sometimes the noise doesn't just rob you of your thoughts, but distracts you from what's important, keeps us from focusing on what it is we truly need. Whether it be the sound of construction outside, the chatter of people in a crowded room, or the blaring music from your neighbor's stereo, noise can be hard to ignore and difficult to block out. It can prevent us from concentrating on the minor things in life and make it difficult to focus on those distant goals. By recognizing the impact noise has on our lives, we can take steps to reduce its influence and reclaim our minds. Death Stranding, Breath of the Wild, and Outer Wilds are all anomalies within the genre. Outliers. As things usually get a little bit crazy in these interactive sandboxes. Open world games are generally prone to chaos and destruction. Known for their immersive environments, expansive worlds, and endless possibilities for exploration. These games offer players a sense of freedom that is often unparalleled in other genres. But behind all the noise are worlds full of awe and intrigue, a silent underbelly. I have sunk countless hours into a lot of these games, getting lost in these simulated environments. San Francisco, Los Santos, Night City. For all the noise that can be found in these games, there's a handful of serene moments you could only dream of having in real life. You'll find that in most open world games, there's a perfect balance of noise and silence. It's like yin and yang. I have no idea if this is intentional or not, but I'm grateful. These quiet moments allow me to appreciate the intricate details that often go unnoticed amidst the chaos. gaming has become one of the most popular forms of entertainment worldwide. And I feel open world games are the product of our own growing world. A world that is becoming more and more fast-paced. A world where its inhabitants are struggling to find somewhere to escape the stresses of life within this modern machine. I remember playing Fallout 4 during a pretty rough segment of my life. I'd wander through the desolate wasteland of post-apocalyptic Boston, going through abandoned buildings and cities with dog meat by my side. Despite finding myself in a world that was otherwise devoid of life, I found comfort in these moments, comfort in the silence. The Division 2, with its incredible ambience, set in a near-future version of Washington, D.C., where society has collapsed following a pandemic. I found myself alone in a city, surrounded by a deafening silence, broken only by the occasional gunfight or the voices of my co-op partners. I'd mostly play this game solo, however. The silence was too grand, too perfect to be disturbed. An eerie stillness that I found both captivating and unsettling. I remember being transported to the streets of Paris during the French Revolution, climbing higher and higher as the world around me became quieter and quieter. The sounds of the rambunctious city streets gradually fading away, until there was nothing but silence. In the midst of my depression, I ran through the city of glass, a world stripped down to its bare essentials. The sounds of the city were muted, leaving only Faith's footsteps and the rush of the wind as I leapt from building to building. It was a world that I found ironically exhilarating and calming. Losing myself in the thrill of movement and forgetting about the troubles that plagued my life. Open world games are effective at creating these moments. Moments where players are free to explore at their own pace, taking in the sights and sounds of the world that surrounds them. It's a form of escapism that is both immersive and therapeutic, allowing players to lose themselves in a world of their own making. Silence has the potential to add depth and emotion to any gaming experience. Experiences that will stay with players long after they have finished the game. Say what you will about Watch Dogs, but I'll never forget the nights I spent walking through the windy city of Chicago. As the sun sets and night falls, the bustling machine of the city slowly begins to wind down. It never completely shuts off, but the streets, which were once packed with cars and pedestrians, become less congested. There's an odd mystique about the stillness that descends over the city, a peace that creeps out at night. The cold air, the late train rides home. It's as if the city is taking a deep breath as it prepares for another day. The lights from the buildings, street lamps and cars, they all illuminate the night sky, creating a dreamlike atmosphere. The city takes on a new personality at night, as it transitions from a hub of activity to a place made up of headlights, and silhouettes. The scream of the machine is replaced by a distant hum. The hum of engines, the hum of neon lights, the hum of train stations with people trying to get home. All captured in game. Watch Dogs' attention to detail in recreating a city's environment makes players feel like they are truly there, in that moment. I have over 100 hours in this game, and a lot of that time was admittedly spent just walking around, taking it all in. It's the unexpected pleasure you get from playing Watch Dogs, the experience of simply walking around the city at night. Everything becomes a bit muted. The streets are bathed in a soft glow, creating an atmosphere of quiet contemplation. The sounds of the distant traffic and the buzz of the electrical equipment add to that sense of calm. All helping to transport the player to another place, allowing them to lose themselves, exploring the city at their own pace, taking in the scenery, the sounds, without pressure of a mission or an objective to complete. The beauty of silence in video games lies in its ability to draw players into an experience and make them feel like they're part of something magical, something real. And no game feels as real as Red Dead Redemption 2. A stunning masterpiece that captures the beauty and silence of the American Old West. From its vast open landscapes to its meticulously crafted details, this game transports players to a world that is both rugged and beautiful. My newest go-to when I need to quench my thirst for silence, a game with a real sense of peace. I chase the silence more than I do bounties or other players. One of the most striking aspects of Red Dead Redemption 2 lies in its visuals. It goes without saying, with impeccable art direction, every element crafted to perfection, Rockstar have made a world that feels alive and vibrant. The landscapes are breathtaking. It's easy to get lost in its grandeur. As I explore, I'm filled with euphoria. It's a nice kind of lonely out here. In this modern world, noise is everywhere, ruining our ability to live in the moment and enjoy the present. We're always connected. We're constantly checking our phones, scrolling through social media. This incessant need to be connected to the world means that we're never fully present within it. Always thinking about what's next, what we need to do, or what we're missing out on. We don't live in the moment anymore. But when I find myself spending hours just riding through the countryside, listening to the sound of my horse's hooves on the dirt, that is the moment. That's all that matters. And it's oddly depressing to admit that I can only experience moments like this in a video game. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a breath of fresh air, the perfect game with a perfect world. An open world game with a powerful silence that has allowed me to escape reality, allowed me to take in every detail, allowed me to live in the moment. Noise isn't always a bad thing. In fact, it can be pretty mesmerizing. I've found myself greatly enjoying a game called Hi-Fi Rush. It's centered around noise, using sound and music to create a distinctive, charming experience. The game is designed to make you feel like you're inside a music track. In this case, the developers have used noise as a tool, literally, making a game that's all about embracing it. Silence is also a tool, used to create suspense, tension, and immersion. By omitting or reducing the amount of sound, developers can make players feel isolated, vulnerable, and more attentive to their surroundings. In horror games, silence is used to create a sense of dread and anticipation before a jump scare or any other frightening event. The absence of music or ambient sounds can leave players wondering what will happen next. In stealth games, silence is used to create a tense, apprehensive atmosphere as players try to sneak past enemies without being detected. In addition to creating an atmosphere of tension, silence can also give players time to think and reflect on the game world and their actions. This can be especially powerful in narrative-driven games where the story and characters are the focus. Little Nightmares 2 use silence to create dread and isolation as players navigate a dark, twisted world filled with danger. The absence of music and sound effects during these tense moments leave a lasting feeling of unease. Inside's use of silence effectively establishes a bleak and lifeless world imbued with a sense of desolation and hopelessness. The absence of ambient noise or background music during many parts of the game accentuates this tone. Stray's use of silence sets it apart from the other two games, as its muted ambient soundtrack effectively captures a sense of solitude and introspection. By minimizing background noise, players are able to immerse themselves in an intimate and personalized experience. The power of silence in video games lies in its ability to offer a unique form of escapism that can be hard to find elsewhere. A place to take refuge away from the heavy burden of life. A place to rejuvenate my fading, empty spirit. This is essentially the plot of Stardew Valley, a simple game about becoming a farmer, a game about learning what matters most in life, a game about connecting with other people, a game about escaping the city and returning to nature, a game about belonging. Stardew Valley's endearing, whimsical visuals, along with its relaxed gameplay, create a sense of peacefulness that can be incredibly soothing. It is important to balance time spent in virtual worlds with time spent engaging in the world around us. But what if the world around you is a machine? An environment created for business, industry, chaos. Who can blame me for wandering through the world of Journey, a game where you take on the role of a cloaked figure, traveling across a vast, open desert. Minimalist, aesthetic, silent. A game that provides you with quiet, the sounds of nothing, a sound that is becoming increasingly hard to replicate in the real world. They say video games shouldn't be used as a substitute for real-world experiences or interactions, and they shouldn't. But if the world were to lose the very thing that makes it spin, to lose what allows mankind to think, to lose its silence, where else could we go but into these simulated worlds? It's a scary thought, but a real one. I'm pretty sure this video isn't a confessional about how depressed I am or may be. I'm just tired of all the noise. And I use these games to escape that. They provide me with an opportunity to find solace and respite in still, quiet, silent environments. A moment without feeling overwhelmed. A moment away from all the howls of the city, the machine. Stress, depression, anxiety, all inevitable parts of life. But these demons don't have to take over our lives. The power of silence taught me that. Video games have always been there for me, always. They were around when I was a child longing for a father. They helped me socialize and make friends. They've brought me joy and taught me what it means to love an art form. And now, as an adult, they help me take on the noise of life. I love silence, the beautiful sounds of nothing, and I love video games for understanding how important it is to hear. The noise of this world may seem inescapable, but amidst it all lies a silence waiting to be discovered. Simply pause and allow yourself to listen. It's out there. Trust me.